Hey everybody, Adam here, Patriot Foods. Hey, thanks for coming back. It's real important. We have your support, guys, supporting the American farmer. I'm going to bring a guy on, a friend of mine, local farmer out of Michigan. He's a good friend of mine. I'm telling you, he does a great job. It's a family farm, and it's what we're losing, guys. That's what we're losing. So we're going to bring on John Scheer. Good morning, John. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
John, you are an apple grower, an asparagus grower in Dowagiac, Michigan. Great to talk with you this morning, my friend.
Yep, that's where we're at, and that's what we do.
John, how long have you been farming in a nutshell there?
Well, I bought my first farm when I was a senior in high school. So since I was 18, 17, half 18, and I'm 80.
You're 80.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're happy. You know, some guys, John, they go to the factory and they get their watch and they go home and they fall asleep one night. They don't wake up. But for farmers, for me and you, obviously, right? It gets in your blood. You can't get away from it, can you, John? You just can't get away from it.
Well, it's a job, but it's also a way of life. So, you just don't. We have two sons work on the farms with us and pretty well manage the farms now. And I work on farm real estate, but help help with the farms.
Yeah, yeah. And you pack there. You do some packing there. Can you share that
We
with the?
pack, yeah, we hydrocool and pack our asparagus. We have a broker that sells it for us.
Terrific, terrific. And the apples go on the open market, John. Do you have a guy that moves your
They're all
apples?
fresh. We grow early honeycrisp, uh, Gala, Ambrosia, and Evercrisp. Now they go to a packer that's in Berrien Springs, which is fairly close to us, uh, 10, 12 miles, and he packs them and remits back to us.
What are you seeing in the years you've been farming? What are you seeing for the challenges? Is it the political stuff, the rules and laws and stuff, and is it the cost of the land? What are you seeing for challenges in your operations?
Well, I think with apples, uh, there's too many apples in the whole world. So,
Hmm.
and so China has more apples planted than the rest of the world altogether, including us. But most of theirs stays in China. But we get a few apples in from foreign countries. But basically, we've probably in the U.S. have overplanted and apples. With the newer varieties, the old orchards, 300 or 400 bushel or 600 bushel to the acre uh, was a good yield. Now we're dwarf trees and they're planted real close together on wire to hold the trees up. So 1,000 to 15, 1,600 bushel to the acre is not uncommon of fresh apples. So it's uh, probably across the country the acreage is down than it was maybe 25 years ago, but the yield is up.
Uh-huh. The yield is
So
up.
that Yeah, so that's the challenge. This year is a really, really big year for apples because with the CA and everything, apples are sold year round, and they'll be last year's on a year like this, they'll be last year's apples when the new year starts. Is coming out of storage, and them are generally dumped on the market cheaper just to get the rooms empty and so the new crop comes in. But Washington State had a big crop, New York and Michigan, and just everybody hit this year.
Sure, sure. It's interesting you mentioned China. I have the number right here in front of me this morning, John. China shipped to us, okay, apples and pears, 239 million pounds last year, okay? Now, you do the percentage of that. That's 40% of the apples and pears coming into this country. That's 40% of the pile in the US, guys. That's huge, okay? They're taking away 40% of John's revenue. Really, it is. I mean, that's a mathematical thing here. So 40% is coming in from China, like John just stated. And it's not that the US has a big crop or a heavy crop. Listen, they have to hold their apples all winter to sell them in the spring because there's too many apples in the country, okay? Well, you take away 40% out of China. That's a big number, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it is. And honestly, I didn't realize that many apples were coming in from China. Uh, and I would get, you said apples and pears. I would,
That's right.
well, pears is a big uh, crop in Washington and Oregon, not so big in Michigan. Michigan pears used to be quite a few, but Gerber's got most of those. The fresh market didn't get much of those.
Sure, sure. Well, you take some imports out of this equation, and you would be seeing a lot less apples, right, John? I mean it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is. I think that uh, as a grower, uh, we have to work with what's there because my feeling it's the big marketers and whatever. It's not going to stop. I don't think there's enough. We're we were doing crop insurance yesterday and talking to uh, the gentleman that does our crop insurance. And when we got married, I think the American farmer was somewhere between 4 and 5% of the population. Now it's like he said 1.7 or 1.8. So uh, our voting, and yet we're feeding the country and part of the world. Uh, we don't have much voting power. So the big uh, sales companies or whatever, they can bring stuff in uh, right along and they make money on it.
That's right. That's right. They make money on it, and I tell you, folks, this is national security at its forefront. When other countries are feeding you, is that a safe place to be? Right? John, let's talk about asparagus. Let's touch on asparagus for a moment because, Peru is a gigantic importer of asparagus. It's just unbelievable. I was looking at them numbers this morning, and it's unbelievable the amount of asparagus they bring in. I mean, 500 million pounds of asparagus. That's 80 to 90% of your pile in the U.S. Uh, and Michigan's a big asparagus region in this country, and we understand, and I think you can agree, we want people to eat asparagus year round. I do. I mean, I want them to eat my blueberries year round too, but don't don't ship the stuff in here from Mexico and Peru on top of a U.S. market, on top of a U.S. grower, and wreck our market, right? Isn't that what's going on?
Well, yeah, Michigan has a window that maybe California and uh, the West Coast states, we're the biggest fresh asparagus uh, grower in the union, and we have a window, especially an early window, that there's some a little bit of Mexican around, but the quality is so much less than ours, the Mexican and the Peruvian. And you can see that when you buy asparagus in a restaurant most of the time, and they've bought cheap, so it's about the size of your little finger and woody, uh, and ours just isn't. So hopefully their varieties and their mode of transportation and stuff won't hit us too hard. There again in Michigan, we're in southern Michigan. We have maybe a week, 10 days before northern Michigan gets started, and that's where most of it, and that Hart Shelby area where most of it is started. Down here, there's but we're one of three pretty good sized growers that grow in Southwest Michigan for the fresh market. Uh,
Yeah, that's interesting. How many pounds do you harvest? Averaged.
well, we have about 170 acres. Our stuff is you plant asparagus. It's you can't pick it for 3 years, and then you'll pick it for somewhere between 20 and 25. We're in our fourth and fifth, so we're just really starting. Uh, I think we were around a half a million pounds last year. We would hope to hit a million or better this year, but uh,
Yeah, that's
it's it's the downside of asparagus. There is no machine. It's all hand picked and it's snapped. People think in the West Coast they grow it on beds and they cut it under the ground, and that's why when you buy California asparagus, and even in the Peruvian, you'll have an inch, maybe 2 inches of the butt that's white and real woody, and that's
mhm.
because they've cut it. Ours is snapped above the ground. It's all green and it's all uh, edible. But then we pick it, bring it in, and hydrocool it, so we get it from field temperature down into the middle 30s immediately. It goes in the cooler, and then we grade it for the different sizes. Uh, there's three or four different sizes and a couple different. You're either packing an 11-pound box or a 28-pound box, depending on what the customer wants. But uh, so it's real. We're planning on having like 80 people work for us next year, so it's really heavy,
Sure.
labor intensive. There's no way to get around it.
Sure. And I want to back up on you made a terrific statement. 3 years, guys. John plants his asparagus. He does not see a return for it's a 3 year ride. It's a 3 year investment. He still has to take care of the dirt. He still has to take care of the crowns. He still has to do what he's supposed to do in the field. And then these retailers bring in asparagus from Mexico. They bring in asparagus from Peru. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that's why you got to read your labels. You got to know what you're eating. You got to support your farmers. It's your neighbor down the road. John, how do you see this asparagus deal in Michigan? Do you see uh, it getting any better? Do you see any future in planting more acreage, you and your sons?
We're not, and I don't know how much that. Like I said, that Hart Shelby area. I think there's more, but it's like anything else. I also know a couple big growers in the last years that went out of business up there. They went broke growing. So it's we probably because of my age. Uh, I have one son that's pushing 58, so we probably won't. We made an awful big investment uh, getting the dirt and buying one extra farm and then building a facility to hydrocool it and cool it and pack it in a grader and all that. So I won't for sure. We'll just see what the next 8 or 10 years brings, but I'm guessing we'll probably stay pat. And the same thing with apples. There's no use planting any more apples. There's too many apples in the country. Anyway, we like to grow apples, uh, but there's just too many of them. And with apples, because you got to have a year-round deal to keep your customers happy. We've picked everything. We've paid all the labor and all the transportation. We will get uh, a payment somewhere towards the end of December, but we won't get our final payment, which is most of it, probably 70% of it, till till they get done packing in June or July next year. So you're, and it's just the way the system works. It's not it's not his fault. It's the great, but he brings in for several farmers, and we pool it, and that's the fairest way to do it. Maybe the guy that his crop isn't quite as good gets a little better return that way, but if the apples are always the price is higher in the fall. If we all had our choices, we'd want it all sell between harvest time and Christmas. Uh, but when I was a produce broker and working, um, say in the 80s, and when we went to CA, we put our apples in CA, and after the first of the year, you had to put the CA symbol on your bag or on a box if it was tray pack. We got $1 or $1.25 bump for that. Well,
Sure.
there's so many apples now they don't have to pay that, so they don't. So the apples you put in storage to hold for April, May, and June cost the farmer money more than just making money. Uh, but you got to put them in there. You can't move them all in the fall, and the packer will lose his customer if he doesn't have apples 11 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year.
Sure, sure. You have to put your apples away in storage while they're moved in the Chinese pile. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. If that Chinese pile wasn't there, it'd be a lot different. Uh, we need to take care of ourselves, guys. I mean that's the bottom line. Uh, we do a good job. I've been on John's farm. It's a beautiful farm. I mean, it's a picture frame farm. It's beautiful farm. Uh, I've touched on this before. A lot of these farms are run in Mexico by the cartel, and it's the truth. It's the honest truth. It's unbelievable. It's a ride for their meth, for their drugs across the border, and these controlled, cooled trailers. Okay, we need to take care of ourselves, guys. We need to read our labels. We need to know what's in season. You got the smartphone in your hand. What's in season in my state? Well, it should be on a retail shelf. Okay, so I think that's huge. I think that's so important. John, hey, thanks for calling in this morning. We wanted to put you on a little pedestal, and you've been farming longer than me, almost twice as long, I think. So, and we're great friends, and I value your friendship. And we'll talk soon, my friend. Until next time, guys, Patriot Foods Podcast, support the U.S. farmer. Let's put them on a pedestal. Let's keep them in business, and let's help them plant more fields, okay? God bless. Hey, guys, thanks for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time out of your day. Hey, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms, TikTok. I'm telling you, we need your support. Like us, share us, tell your friends, farmers, call us. The number's at the screen, right on the screen, okay? Farmers, call us. We want to hear your story. We want to get you on the podcast. I want to talk to you. Let's talk about different things on the farming industry, and I'm telling you guys, we're gonna fight this thing. We're gonna get our markets back. We're gonna get them back. I feel good about it, and I'm not gonna stop until we're in a much better position in this country. Okay, God bless.